On July 28, 2011, I traveled to East Greenwich, Rhode Island for a midsummer bottom fishing trip with Captain Jim White and his 10-year-old grandson DJ. I was prepared for the early start, but what came as a surprise was our destination. As we entered Narragansett Bay, most of the other boats turned south, but White headed deeper into the bay, eventually setting up over a small piece of bottom structure in around 30 feet of water. As I watched DJ rig up, I couldn't believe we were actually going to catch anything worthwhile in this warm, shallow water. However, I should know better than to doubt the experts.
We're drifting over a rock pile that's not marked on any chart. According to the charts, this is just flat bottom, and there's a big hump here that we found using the side scan. Oh, you got off. No.
So how'd you find the spot? You just searching around? And
Mike and I just took a couple of days, and we came out and we just started running grid patterns all over the place, looking for different areas to fish, to see what we could find. And we found this, and we've taken some 5 and 6 pound sea bass off this thing, plus fluke. Right now we got a wind against the tide. I mean, we got not a bad drift, but
you probably hit
not the best, because we're going in the opposite way of what the fish are looking. So I'm hoping when the tide changes in another half hour, 45 minutes, that we'll get the drift will be the same way as the tide, and that'll help out the bite. I'm using conventional gear. Devin's got the Garcia. You got an Ambassador 5500. I got an Ambassador 6500. I got an ugly stick, tiger rod, and
I got a Quantum Cabo PTS.
He's got a Quantum rod. I love these.
as Jim predicted, as soon as the tide turned in our favor, we started to hook up, and the bites came fast and furious.
The drag set tight.
Let's hope it's a sea bass.
If that's a fluke, it's a keeper.
Oh, this is a
No,
fluke.
it's a giant sea
Oh, sea bass. Nice sea bass. Oh, yes, sir.
Hold them up, Jim.
Look at that.
Narragansett sea bass in the end of
End
July.
of July. Inside the bay. Do a
It
full
might be a
dance.
keeper. It might be a keeper.
Oh, you caught just by a hair of his chinny chin chin.
I was just gonna see that.
Pretty amazing, Jim, that we're catching fluke of that size right here in Narragansett Bay, huh?
18 inches, nope.
This one's biting like a sea bass. Oh,
Another fluke.
Oh, bigger. Oh!
quick release.
Quick release.
Gotta get that one away from the rock pile. Giant sea bass. I foul.
Oh!
I foul hooked him on the stomach.
He almost foul hooked me.
He is fighting.
Come on,
Despite a shaky start, DJ eventually hit his stride and showed that he has plenty of white blood cells flowing through his body.
Whoa! It's
Get
the
the
mother
net.
of all fluke. Ha.
Oh my god! Oh, nice one, DJ. That is a beauty.
Wow.
Really light.
Good job, DJ. Nice work, man. Way to do it. Biggest fish of the day so far, and we haven't really been fishing that long.
Nope, not at all.
Hold on, Dad. basically what we've done today, can't get too much more simpler than what this is. We're using an owner jig head, 1/2 ounce and 3/4 ounce, right? It's got a wide gap bite to it. And we're using Berkeley Gulp. And we've used a couple of different kinds, the Berkeley Gulp shrimp and the Berkeley Gulp sand eel in a few different colors. On the sand eels, I clip the nose of it like that, just a little bit, so it goes onto the jig head better. And then you just thread it on like you would in any normal piece of plastic. Push it up over that little hook keeper, and that's pretty much it. That's all there is to it. The shrimp, you would do the same thing, right?
Go ahead.
For jigging, all we're doing is taking that jig and the gulp, dropping it down to the bottom, okay? And it's really important that you be on the bottom. And tightening your line in just little jigs and hops like that, up and down. You want your line to be as vertical as possible. So you may have to, depending on the wind and the tide, you may have to go to a 1 ounce, 1.5 ounces. I find that the bigger the jig you go with, the more it cuts down on the number of fish that you catch. The smaller the jig head, the more hookups you get. And that's pretty much it. And you do that, fish it vertically as much as possible. Earlier on today, we used the sea anchor to slow us down. We were drifting at about 1.5 knots, 1.75 knots. We threw the sea anchor in and got down to like a 1/2 knot. That was really important to hold bottom. This has got to be as close to the bottom as you can possibly get it.
This one's been caught before.
It has?
Yeah, look. See that little hole right there?
Sure, yeah, absolutely. Catch and release does work. Though this fluke didn't learn his lesson.
No, it's
In just a few hours of fishing, we had landed some 25 fish between the three of us. Most of them sublegal fluke and sea bass, along with a smattering of scup. With dinner in the cooler, we returned to East Greenwich around noon, having enjoyed the type of action most anglers think they have to travel outside the bay to find in the summer.